Welcome to Activations with JJ, Ascension School Part 20. In this episode, we'll be talking about DNA upgrades, gene keys, and how that fits into our Ascension journey. Hello, my dear friends. I am so excited to have you with me today for this Ascension School episode. It's been very fascinating over the last few days as I have had several themes drop in many times over and over again. And so when those themes drop in multiple times and I have synchronicities like that, I know that it's really something I should share with you. So I'm excited to dive into our topics for today. I want to start off this episode by just dropping in and letting you know about a few events that I have coming up. We had some incredible activations and gatherings this last weekend, and I cannot wait to do more with you. It's been so amazing what's been brought through by our interdimensional friends. We had our Lemurian gathering this last weekend and our Arcturian gathering, and wow, what we were able to do in those groups was just unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's the best word to describe it. It was unbelievable, but I do believe it because everybody there was experiencing so many amazing things. So heading into the next couple of weeks, here we are at the very end of June, about to embark on July. I'm excited to put out our monthly energy update in a few days. But this coming next couple of weeks, I have a few events that I want to let you know about. First of all, we have another Arcturian gathering. I do 2 per month. One is in the morning Pacific time and one is in the evening Pacific time, so that our friends in Europe and those parts of the world can still join us. It's not the middle of the night. So that will be occurring on the 3rd of July at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then it's our monthly Galactic Federation gathering coming up on the 9th of July. That one happens at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern time. The next day on July 10th, we have our Fairies and Elementals gathering. And I actually was unable to do that gathering during June. So I'm really excited to have that come through this next month. And it's going to occur at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So those of you who are in Australia, New Zealand should be able to make that one as well. I have several changes coming up over the next few weeks and months. And I just want to drop in and kind of let you know, give you a little bit of a hint as to what some of those are so that you are prepared and calibrated to the new offerings I will have, the new programs I'll be doing. I am always constantly changing and shifting with where Spirit leads and guides me. And so some of the changes you'll see here in the next little bit is my one-on-one sessions will be shifting to half-hour activation. So there'll be 30-minute sessions. Those are kind of like my one-off sessions. So if you are wondering what I do, wondering if I can answer a few of your questions about your galactic family or bring through light language for you, those are the kinds of things you would do in the 30-minute sessions I offer. If you are looking to spend a little bit more time with me, if you are wanting to do longer sessions, that is where my multidimensional soul activation modality or my multidimensional soul integration modality would come in. There is a multidimensional soul activation coming up. It starts at the very end of July. So actually the 24th of July is when our group session is and runs for 4 weeks. And that one I'm really excited about. I have some new things that I'm going to be integrating into that program. And there are still a couple of spots left. I like to keep the cohorts on the smaller end, but I do have a few spots open, and the link is below to all of the things I'm describing. In September, I have a couple of new offerings on the horizon, one of them including an immersion into multidimensional soul activation and integration so that you can be trained on that modality. And so I'm really excited about that. I don't have the information for that yet. I'm just priming you to be looking out for that in the next little while. So those are kind of the fun events I have coming up. I would love to meet you, to join with you, to gather with you in any way, shape, or form possible, because it just really fills my cup when I'm able to co-create with all of you, not just through the podcast, but in these virtual live gatherings. The last thing I want to make sure you know is I have mentioned in a couple of past episodes that I will be offering the recordings of our gatherings, the playbacks, on the website, available for you to download. This has not been implemented yet, but it is on the horizon, so please be on the lookout for that. Okay, let's dive into the topic we have today, which I mentioned was DNA upgrades. Here's what I'm planning on doing. I actually decided that this topic has come up in several sessions over the last few days, and Spirit is really dropping it in many ways for me and in many formats. I don't know about you, but I have really been contemplating that. Many of you participated in, and I can't remember if it was 11/11 of 21 where I did the DNA upgrades, but I did do some special one-on-one sessions for that. And those were amazing. But here I have pulled out the Ascension Glossary. And for those of you who have heard me quote from it before, I've actually been utilizing it a lot lately. I tend to pull some ideas from there and use that as a jumping off point for me personally to drop in with some of my channeled information, some things that resonate with me. And that's what I'm planning on doing today. And the topic that we're exploring today, the actual entry in the Ascension Glossary website, is DNA assembly. DNA assembly. My hope is that this particular package of information will be energetically charged for you, energetically programmed for you to receive what you need to receive for your greatest and highest good. There are lots of different pieces of information that come together in this entry. It might be a little bit overwhelming. I've been reading from it lately. Those of you who have heard my Ascension School episodes about the Divine Solar Feminine and topics related to that know it gets pretty deep. I have the intention today of reading through this glossary entry and stopping and pausing where I want to add in information, or if things resonate with me, just kind of breaking this down for you in a way that might be a little bit digestible and adding in some of my personal experiences. So I'm going to start by reading the first paragraph here. Previous to the Atlantean cataclysm, each of the groups of the angelic human 12 Essene tribes were entrusted as guardians of a section of the Emerald Founder records, which held extensive consciousness knowledge about the star origins and genetic template information that was recorded on the 12 holographic discs. All 12 genetic components of the 12 tribes hold one strand of DNA code for reassembling the crystal gene for the diamond sun body or silicate matrix that is key-coded to activate the 12 layers of the planetary Stargate System. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Even in just that part, how many of you felt like, whoa, what are all these things? What do these things mean? I did when I was first reading it. So when I read through something like this, I watch for what's jumping out at me. And what jumped out at me was the diamond sun body. The solar has been coming through with the divine solar feminine, and the diamond shape, oh my goodness, the diamond shape has come through in so many different sessions lately with individual people. It's come over and over again. And I've even channeled it in light language drawings. I've popped those up on my Instagram at times, and you might have seen them, but the diamond shape, yes, it 100% resonates with me. What I've seen, like with my clairvoyance, when I look at people's energy, a lot of people I've been working with their light bodies. I've been bringing in different guides to help activate their light bodies. And the light body structure truly does look like a diamond shape to me. I can see the point at the top of the head and the point at the bottom of the feet, and then the wider part in the middle. And there are just these different lines coming out of it. I can see it in my mind right now, but just to try to describe it to you so you can get a feel for it a little bit more. The part that they mention in this entry about the planetary Stargate system, that is something that's coming through just a little bit over the last little while, but I'm definitely still exploring that and haven't received a ton of information personally channeled, and I'm excited to look into it more. So I'm just going to go ahead and touch on that diamond sun body part and then move on. The rest of this paragraph says, this provides the means to contact our higher stations of identity as spiritual bodies. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. What it's referring to when it says this is the Stargate system, the 12 layers of the planetary Stargate system provide the means to contact our higher stations of identity as spiritual bodies. For me, that kind of in a nutshell would mean higher selves if I were to boil it down to a little more basic terminology. It goes on to say, and to connect with a conscious living light and sound frequencies in the holographic matrix. The instruction sets to rebuild and reassemble the 12-strand DNA pattern are held in the genetic keys found in the cosmic crystalla blueprint, which makes up the 12-tree grid manifestation template. All right, while I was reading through that, there were certain words that jumped out to me that I'm going to stop and drop in on. First of all, the word rebuild and reassemble the 12-strand DNA. As a reminder, what we are doing is returning back to how things were when this planet originally was created. You could see it as Garden of Eden-like. I mean, that's the most sort of simplistic symbol that we know, generally speaking, if we look at Adam and Eve and we've learned about, maybe we have a biblical background, that is basically the Garden of Eden. And before the quote unquote fall, the 12 strands of DNA were activated. Everything was activated there. The 12-tree grid comes from ancient Hebrew teachings, and that popped out to me big time when I was reading this. I actually tapped on it. I've seen a schematic of it before, but this time around, it really just stood out, and I really feel like there's more about that 12-tree grid that's going to come forward for me in the next little while. So I don't know if that's a synchronicity for you, but I'm also bringing your attention to that concept. As a side note, the link to this website is in the description to this podcast, and I want to make sure you know you have access to it. If you're a visual learner like me and you need to read, it's all going to be contained there for you. All right, moving on in this entry, it says, through the individual and planetary spiritual ascension process that takes place during several root race evolution cycles, the integration and healing of all 12 levels of DNA coding through its genetic components potentially unite and merge to form the complete silicate matrix. These dual forces of polarity, male and female, are designed to spiritually integrate and synthesize within the angelic human body while naturally evolving on the ascending earth. As a result of the forces of alchemy and energetic synthesis made between inner and outer layers of these multidimensional consciousness forces, the spiritual embodiment of the original 12-strand DNA of the diamond sun body is then made available to the planet and humanity through DNA assembly. Thus, ascending individuals are gradually repairing and regenerating their DNA template so they are able to open and move through Stargates safely. Okay, I'm going to stop right there, pause for a second, allow you to integrate that and bring through some things that came out to me. The first one is the silicate matrix, and that, of course, is the crystalline light body. So we're shifting from carbon-based light forms to crystalline-based or silicate-based life forms. This is obviously going to take a while, but there is some inner working that's going on right now that is occurring as we, again, integrate the dual forces of male and female. We're shifting from duality to non-duality. That has come out over the last little while in my Ascension School episodes regarding the divine solar feminine and more. I can't go into detail about it right now, but you can listen to those episodes. That would be like episode 19 of Ascension School, episode 18 of Ascension School. Those are the ones where I talk about that. And there's so much regarding that polarity and the bringing together of that really help us understand. Also with the Sophia and Christos energy coming together, that's coming to mind right now as I'm talking to you about it. So again, my intention with this episode of Ascension School is not to cover everything in depth. It's just to pique your interest. Take notes. Whatever comes out to you, whatever jumps out to you, whatever spirit is saying, go down that rabbit hole. I encourage you to go down that rabbit hole because I don't have time to go down all the rabbit holes in this episode. All right, I'm just going to move on and read the last portion of this entry. It says, the diamond sun body represents full consciousness freedom for an ascending human being in which the inner Christos is fully activated with the flowering of the sacred crystal heart. As a result, the spiritually ascending human is able to transmute their consciousness out of time and into 0 point, moving through Stargates into another location. And that kind of just leaves you with a question mark, doesn't it? Because you're like, wait a minute, another location? For me, what comes up without even I don't want to keep going on this paragraph because I want to just see what I channel and what I bring through. For me, that other location is another version of Gaia. So what you resonate with. So when you start resonating differently, vibrating differently, basically, when your vibration is changing and your density begins to change, it is automatically magnetized to the new version of Gaia. So it's what's coming to me from spirit is the idea of those magnetic locks. I don't know if you've ever seen those magnetic locks, but you basically put a magnet up to them, and that's the only thing that will unlock it. So I'm feeling like these stargates that are being referred to multiple ascended Gaias. It's what's coming to me. Multiple. Not all of us are going to end up at the same ascended Gaia version because all of us have little nuanced differences in our light bodies and what we are vibrating at that will allow us to experience all of our unique futures in different ways. And we've all chosen different paths. That's what's so incredible about free will and about our sovereignty. When we step into our sovereignty, we are no longer locked into one particular path. There's not just one 5D Gaia. There's a bunch of them, and you get to choose the one that you want to be on. You will magnetize yourself to be able to unlock that particular Stargate. In fact, what's also dropping in is there are multiple versions of yourself that will be magnetized in multiple ways, and that your awareness will be able to experience multiple versions of Gaia. And this is part of what it's talking about when it says multidimensional self. This is my 100% emphasis with multidimensional soul activation and integration, is stepping into the awareness of your multidimensionality so that you know and understand the smorgasbord, the variety of options in front of you. It's like a giant choose your own adventure, but you can clone yourself and experience all the choose your own adventures. So I know we started with DNA assembly and we ended with cloning yourself in multiple realities. But I hope that what we've touched on in this Ascension School episode has again piqued your interest to activate you in certain ways that are for your greatest and highest good. And it will be different for every single one of you who are listening. But as always, I appreciate and am so grateful for the fact that you've come to co-create with me today. I hope to see you at an upcoming gathering. It would be an absolute honor to meet with you virtually, but face to face, and connect with you that way. It just really is the highlight of what I do, is being able to do that. I'm sending you so much love during this time. I know that there are difficulties happening, that as we put our head up out of the clouds, it can help. But I also am with you in the clouds and in the sun, and I'm sending you love, honoring the divine being that you are. Until next time.